guys, how's everybody doing on this super Sunday? Actually, the last Sunday of July in 2023. 2018 was the year of the rich man, but we still got time to make this remaining months of this year, not just my years, but your year as well, honestly. So, I want to welcome you guys to another live edition of the retrospective series that I've been looking at. My name is Richard, your host, one of the most sensational YouTube channels that you could ever find. And not just on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, and I'm actually looking to put more focus more on like even these short type of videos. So you will see a lot of them on my YouTube shorts and TikTok. So if you haven't already, as I said, definitely check me out on social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, Facebook. I'm still there as well. And yeah, so if you type Rich Manzi, you can find all my type of like relative media out there as well. So yes, and yes. Want to welcome you again. Always do a big favor for this channel as well. Definitely like, comment, share, and subscribe. Very close to reaching a big milestone for me as well, which is going to be 9K subs. So I want to thank everyone who has liked and shared my videos around. There will be more coming very soon. We will not stop the momentum now when we're so close as well. So guys, on this one, as you've checked, if you have been, thank you. If you have been looking at my reviews, I took a look back at the kind of sitcoms that were in like the 2000s. So I looked at like My Wife and Kids, I looked at the Bernie Mac show. Excuse me. More recently, I looked at the Chappelle Show, which still I believe is a masterful show and one of the best like sketch comedy shows of all time as well. So this series that I chose to look at, this one is it's not even just to put it like on the table. It's not even like one of the greatest like sitcoms. Even just looking at it now, it is pretty average. But just for me, and especially from where I come from, it was a series that I was watching the same time as Chappelle Show, My Wife and Kids, All of Us, and One on One, which I forgot to mention as that. So the one we're going to be looking at today, folks, is going to be Eve, the TV sitcom that ran for 3 seasons, started in 2003 and went to 2006. So we're going to be looking at Eve. All right. So as always in my reviews, I love to talk about like my history and where I was introduced onto not just the series, but Eve the entertainer, we should say as well. So, so Eve, if we check, Eve's real name is. Let's check it on Wikipedia. Boom, boom. Mm. All right, so yeah, Eve, her full name is Eve Jehan Cooper. I believe it's Jeffrey now. Cooper. I believe that's maybe from her husband now. Yeah, she's married to an Englishman that's got a lot of money and from the UK as well. So, well, we're just gonna call her Eve. I was first introduced to Eve, the rapper, in like pretty much that. I remember there was the collaboration she did with Gwen Stefani. I'm like, your mind, that one. I remember it used to do reruns, and oh yes, more reruns on this music video on MTV and of course like VH1 in the early 2000s. So I remember Eve just as that. She was reminding me of this kind of rebellious urban woman who's very fine, but just had this kind of rebellious nature to her. And I remember also seeing Eve on Punk because just like this series, Punk, the series where they pranked all the celebrities who were popular at that time, she appeared on the season 2 where she came in for a job interview and like getting back to there, she ended up punking her as well. So I remember seeing Eve, and of course her other big notable appearance was in the barbershop, the first, I believe she's in the first 2. I can't remember. You're gonna have to correct me if she's in the last one, but I remember seeing in the first barbershop, and I really loved her sort of rivalry with oh my gosh, Sean Patrick Thomas's character, and also Michael Ealy. in the first one, and they end up getting a romance in the second one. So Eve, just like as I talked about, like Cedric the Entertainer in my Steve Harvey Show review, Eve was someone who was really like on the rise in the early 2000s as well. Because again, there's been a lot of like female rappers from this year, there, Lil Kim, Foxy Brown, but I don't think all of them transitioned well into like acting, whether it be movie or TVs, as probably well as Eve did. You know, like you would see these female rappers like in like small like cameo appearance, but you never really see like have a lead show, just like Eve was able to successfully do as well. So that was when I first saw Eve, and when I was watching this show, as I said, it was on that lineup of One on One, My Wife and Kids, and also All of Us, which was also imagine all these that were running on the same time and this was on in the States. This was on UPN, I believe. Let's double check it. Yep. Original network was UPN, but in the UK they showed this on the channel Trouble. I really feel I gotta do like a video review on just the Trouble series because I think a lot of people don't know out here in North America and in the West Side about like how Trouble kind of saved me from like seeing these English UK shows. Yeah, thank God for that Trouble network as well. So so Eve is the so like so on the series. If we go on like the concept creation of the Eve series, so I'll read here. It says like the conception was from the UPN executives approached Eve and about developing a television project following her performance of her rap single "Gangsta Lovin'" because at this time Eve was very well known for her like hit um, albums and hit tracks at this time, 2002. At an event marking the channel's 2002 season premieres, the network had pitched the idea to her prior two appearances in the 2002 film Triple X, which I forgot she was in the first Triple X with Ice Cube, and Barbershop, which were around the same time. Following their release, UPN renewed its interest in pursuing a series with Eve. She has developed the main premises behind the sitcom in which she would star as a fashion designer with a supporting multi-ethnic ensemble. Yeah, so the cast is predominantly like a black show, but it has a very like mixed type of like cultures within the series. The show's creation was credited to television producer Meg D. Lodge. UPN executives designed the series as a vehicle for Eve following the positive response to fellow musician Brandy and another UPN sitcom, Moesha. Right, so Moesha, which I believe that ran, Moesha was late 90s, early 2000s, yeah, 6 seasons, January 1996 to 2001. So it was actually earlier. So they saw like what happened with like Moesha, who because as far as I know, I believe Brandy was a star before, but just with the Moesha, it was again able to really like push her to a success. And the best thing with like the Moesha series, like it was a good vehicle for seeing a lot of guest stars. Like I remember seeing Fredo star for the first in the Moesha series, Sticky Fingers, Eve, of course, a lot of the ones you will see, Buddy Mac, of course, some of his early appearances was appearing in the Moesha show. So it was really good that the impact of the Moesha show was able to get a sitcom like this for Eve as well, which for her pretty much turned out well. So you got Eve pretty much in the main primarily role. The other following supporting characters you have. Okay, on of course going through the Wikipedia. Yeah, so we got okay, premise and characters, right? So you got of course, I'm gonna put together. So you got Jason George. So that's he's playing JT as well. Who Jason George, funny enough, was in the Barbershop movie playing Eve's love interest as well. So in this, the relationship between Eve and Jason George in this is very similar to the one you saw in like Stevie Harvey show between Steve and Regina. Excuse me. Pretty much that. They like me, they don't like me. I love her, I don't love her. It's that back and forth relationship from really till the climax of like the season that they actually do get together as well. And I wouldn't say like between them they have like the most tremendous chemistry because of the show, and I'll keep on saying it is pretty average. But I think possibly like the best highlights from the series is the kind of back and forth exchanges they have for each other, like the jealousy that they have for each other when they see them dating another person, and it's like they really want them, but no one really wants to be honest and expose the truth, their feelings for the respective other, and that. So that's pretty much cool. You also got you also got Rita, who was played by Ali Laundry, who, as far as I know, before this, I believe she's had a few other cameo appearances. She had a commercial, I remember, a Super Bowl commercial, because she, well, I don't know if she still does it, but she was a model before this as well. So a lot of like them advertisements and the promotion, as I mentioned, that Super Bowl ad. If you type Ali Laundry on Google, you can find that. Whew, Hasekalo Super Bowl ad as well. So she plays like the best friend to her, and you also got after that you also got, let's get her name, Natalie Desiree Reed as well, who unfortunately she passed away during the year of the COVID. I believe that was 2020. 2020, yeah. So December 2020. um, Yeah, so Natalie Dudley Reed, if you remember the Babs film, again, I think anyone who has seen this series must have watched that. No, I'm not going to really say it's classic, but maybe it has a cult following, just because again, you've seen Halle Berry in pretty much a different role, and it's a movie again. You see like a lot of like actors that weren't that big at that time. Bernie Mac appears in Babs. You also got Pierre, who's doing fabulous job on Comedy Hype. You also got like a few other guest spot appearances. But I remember that Natalie Giselle Reed was really good because she was the main actress playing alongside Halle Berry in Babs. She also played in How to Be a Player with Bill Bellamy, about my sister in that movie. And I remember only seeing her in here after those movies as well. And again, I from watching like Natalie Desselle Reid's character, who is, let's get her name in the Eve series, she's playing Jean. There's always like a kind of warmth with her. She just seems like a when you're around her, and when you see the characters around her and just her like roles in the show, she's really more like about like harmony with her, and it's just a shame to see someone. She was only in her early 50s when she tragically passed as well. But honestly, even when I watched this, I was like, oh my gosh, and it's still shocking to hear the story to hear the news that she finally passed. But she does well in her, like well in here. And as I said, if you do like her performances in those two movies I mentioned, she does great here as well. And last but not least, you got that English guy who still to this day I don't know why they put him in this. His name's Sean Maguire, who is from, he's probably from my base, Ilford. No way. So a library that I used to work in London, in Ilford, like probably the place you need to avoid if you're ever going to, if you ever want to spend time in London, do not go to Ilford. This dude was born and raised from there as well. His character is, because what they do is they play a lot of they play a lot of like the fun and jokes of like he's an Englishman living in America, and so they will mimic his accent and say like if he's gonna get deported, if he's has like stay here as well. But I remember, he owns like a nightclub. I believe I'm pretty sure he owns. Let's double check it. Show McGuire. So if okay, Show McGuire and nightclub manager. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember. So he was the nightclub manager of that. He was the club manager of that like bar slash restaurant that you would see them mostly go after they're out of that fashion salon where they work as well. So his role is it's not really like meaning. I do feel that because I do get it. They wanted to balance it and not like have full black guys like one on one, my wife and kids, or Bernie Mac show, or even all of us, which were all around this time, and some on the same network as UPN. So I do believe they wanted to add like a few other actors, not just saying just white, but they wanted to have this kind of multicultural diversity to the main ensemble cast, which is good. But it does feel like when you do see him in here, like I could probably do with Ali Laundry because she's fine, but Sean Maguire here, who is playing Sean Maguire's character is playing Donovan is here. It just feels like in some ways it's needed. That's like I think it could have been better if they just cut it down to four characters because it provides very little humor. I don't think there's really episodes that are really focused around him. So not really understand. I still don't understand like why he was pretty much a main character. If he was just someone who was popping in now and again, that would have been okay. But to make him the main part of the character, well, I didn't understand it as well. All right, so that's pretty much the characters. If we go on to like the main premise, as we can see here, it says episodes typically depict the friends' comedic and romantic adventures and career issues, such as Shelley, Eve, Rita, Alejandra, and Janine, Natalie Dazelle Reed, working together at their Miami base. Yes, which I forgot to mention, the basis here is in Florida, and for you all who have been to Florida, I'm pretty sure you know how nightclubish, if that's even, if I'm probably introducing this word today as well, it has such a kind of clubbish feeling of every day's a party. You got like lovely weather, beautiful women, and Miami and Florida is such a place where a lot of people actually kind of leave their respective hometown or like country to just come in Florida and just start a new life, come there on business, and so even for the small time I spent in Florida, which was 4 years ago, it always felt like this kind of networking central as well. And it's like and to be honest, watching shows like this, like with 10 years, almost like maybe 12 years before I actually made my first trip to Florida, like it does kind of give you that kind of ambition to go there and see it. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so going back on, it says boutique leader style and JT, Jason George applying to the college. The six characters each have many dates and serious relationships, and the series can be viewed as an extension of the concept of the battle of the sexes for its equal representation of both the female viewpoints on the matter. Janine serves as Shelley's voice of reason, while Rita encourages to be more impulsive with dating. They often disagree with another on the best way for Shelley to approach her love life. Rhea, Janine, Nick, and Donovan are typically shown caught in the middle of Shelley and JT's communication. Yeah, so the two best friends of Eve, Shelley, Rita, and also Janine, again, they're just like in the way of, as I said, you got one is saying like, hey, you need to be more like, you need to be more flirtatious, you need to go out more. If you like being with most of the guys, it's not a problem. Like really, really enjoying that. Where Janine, her characters, when she's trying to encourage her, she's saying like, if it is with JT, have a relationship with him, but like have a secure relationship. There is no real reward if you're just like, jumping onto different men. So she's more of the voice of reason, and it's really nice because again, I feel like her personality is like that in real because she was a lot like that when we saw her appearances in How to Be a Player, and even in the Bats film. So it's pretty cool there. You also, and if we go down, yeah, so like guest stars as well. And I'm someone, like I said, one of the things I really love with these sitcoms is would be many, many guest stars. And it was really cool with the guest stars that you saw at this time because some of them were pretty much only getting the first break or it was their first ever appearance on a network television. So it's really cool. And as I said on the one-on-one review I did before, Eve appeared on that series whilst I think this was still running at the time. So you know what, thinking about it, it really would have been cool if because I know like series used to do this before, like where two sitcoms were running and they would kind of cross over. I remember like Full House had an appearance of Steve Urkel in the series as well. And it may be a few hours, I'll remember later, but it would have been cool if like there was an episode where like Eve came into the one-on-one universe and like maybe Flex Alexander appeared in the Eve series as well. Because when Eve did appear in one-on-one, she was playing not Shelley, she wasn't playing Eve from this series as well, and she was just a small portion of the latter episode. So that would have been really really dope as well. So the guest stars you got like from you got Queen Latifah, from Missy Elliott to Brooke Burke to Lisa K.A. Fox, Cedric the Entertainer, and you even got Reginald Ben Johnson from Hall in Family Matters. The mother the second Vivian, Daphne Maxwell Reed, and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, she plays the mother of Jason Joy. So JT, Eve's like you can say the one he's trying to get with, but not showing signs of it. She plays the mother in this as well, and it's pretty much a similar role, similar as Vivian. I can probably speak for everyone and say like we all prefer the first Vivian, but I mean she does pretty much the same as she did in the first one as well. So this the series only had 3 seasons. The first one aired in 2003, second one 2004, and the last one in 2005. If I can check the ratings, so for the first season, the rating only got 3.65 million. Second season went down from 3.65 to 2.8 million, and the third one, the last one, was only 2.3 million. Yeah, so which is it's pretty decent, honestly. And it's funny. I feel like even the producers and the executives who went to this, I believe that they were maybe expecting numbers around this time. Because again, if you've seen like the other ones that are one had maybe double, if not triple, the range of this series as well. But I think one just had just this more like youth youth movement and more just like energy to this that show than this because I'll talk more about this at the end, but let me continue with the reigns. So yeah, it said according to the AC Nielsen company, the show achieved high ratings among the Latina adolescents aged 12 to 17 and earned 3.8 million viewers in that demographic in 2005. It was the second highest UPN sitcom in the category, with only Everybody Hates Chris ranking above in its demographic as well. So, as it said there, the demographic was more for the Latina. Ay, papi, papacito, te gusta mi cuerpa. Yeah, it was more that was the demographic as well, where I'm believing, of course, like the executives, even that's like a small demographic of the whole United States of America, honestly. Like, if we're just keeping it real, like, it's a minority. So, I believe this possibly was like one of the reasons they even ran into the cancellation that happened in this third and final season. And speaking of the cancellation, even when I look on Wikipedia, because the other sitcoms I said I reviewed, like One-on-One, My Wife and Kids, even the Bernie Mac show, they didn't really talk about like the reception and critical response. What it says here is, I'll even read it again. So it says, Eve has received mixed backlash since its first broadcast. Melanie McFarland of the Seattle Post Intelligence praised the changes made during the show's development and highlighted McGuire as the standout. I still can't understand that. Donovan, he was, oh god. In reference to his transmission from the pilot, she described Eve as Eliza Doolittle of the UPN comedies. The supporting cast was played by David Hickman of the New York Daily News, who wrote that they form and entertain and appropriately narrative chorus behind Eve's relationship dance. Eve was compared to UPN comedy Girlfriends. That was another sitcom in the mid to late 2000s. I will see if I can do a review on this. I got my personal opinions on the Girlfriend series, but I think especially for that, for series like Living Single, Girlfriends really prospered because of Living Single, because Living Single opened the door to show like 4 successful Black women really making stands and having like good businesses as well. It was a very impactful surely the single, which girlfriend really just carried on that way. So maybe in the future, I would love to review that. But speaking of that, if you would like to see that review, you definitely have to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Definitely get in contact with me on my social media. I'll give you about 15 seconds when I'm gonna have this Richie Rich's water. Okay. I hope with that time you were able to do that. All right. So, okay. So to sum up the paragraph with the critical response, they're saying, and from even some of the reviews I've seen about like why this series was cancelled, they said that the supporting characters were probably even they were better acted and even better performed, and in some shape or form, like they found that, as they said there, like Donovan Shaw Maguire's character, the nightclub manager, he was more entertaining, or they found him more of a vital part of the show than the main protagonist, Eve, as well. A lot of the reviews, and even like the main critics of the series, they said Eve wasn't really acting, like she wasn't really like she wasn't invested or really interested like in this role. And I even just watched a snippet of Brian Hook, who, oh my gosh, I left him for now as well. Brian Hooks was the main, with JT and also Sean Maguire. You got Brian Hooks who is playing, let me get him out. Oh, apologies, Brian Hooks. I'm going to forget my. Brian Hooks who is playing Nick. Nick. So Nick is like, in some shape or form, maybe not like the ladies man. He really like he goes by. In some ways, he feels like he's the comedy act as well. Again, it's not as like the dimwit junior, or you could even say Arnez in 101. But then again, he's not like the ladies man, like a Flex Alexander, or in some ways maybe Steve Harvey, who feels like he's the Mac. Maybe just in between of that, because in some of the episodes he does get like a bit of boom so, but he did an interview with Comedy Eyes, and he even talked about the reasons like why the show ended, and he even said that the competition at this time with all of us, with One on One, with Morphin Kids, and with Bernie Mac show, this was really competing with real estate at this time. And the thing is, with all of us, they had the power of like Will Smith, who really went out of his way to produce that show with Jada Pinkett, and they were not going to cancel that series, even if all of us is probably. I would even, as mediocre as Eve is, I would even know for all of us even significantly lower than that show, but they just had that pull from Will Smith to keep that show ongoing. So they said like going back to that, they said like Brian Hooks was saying Eve at this time really came like she was fresh in acting in roles like this, Barbershop, Triple X as well. But here's the difference: when she was in those movies, she was really like maybe the fifth or sixth supporting character. Like Barbershop wasn't made with Eve; it was Ice Cube's movie. Or the Triple X movie, that was Ice Cube's film, I believe. So because, no, because the Ice Cube, the second one, isn't it? It was Van Diesel, I believe, was in Triple X as well. So those movies were not centered around her. For her to have that sitcom like centered around her, and I believe she had no major acting experience. She was just like giving directions on music videos. I even just watching it back now, you can see in some places she just doesn't feel like as invested as well. With Will Smith, it was a different story. When you saw him like in his first season, you really saw the evolution of him till like the later seasons as well. And it's like you could see Will Smith even in the first season. There was a lot of vibrance, there was a lot of energy. He was a clown, but you always felt like you needed to watch this. You always felt like must watch TV. The Eve series doesn't really have that because Eve just feels very distant. Like she feels like I could be somewhere else. Most of the time, you get that from her as well. And like I said, if you see that as a viewer, just imagine what the people who are in the executives that are backing the show, putting money into this, are truly thinking about that as well. So I'll go on to read. They say as well that Yeah, they went on to say like Eve drew criticism for its formulaic writing and lead performance. Eve, the show was included on a list of by Emily's Kevin L. Clark for one of the top 10 worst black TV series of all time. This was one of them. God. And Clark was critical of the episode titles such as Condomania, She Snoops to Conquer, and Porn Free, and wrote that they indicate an overuse of outrageous cliches that BoobTube audience would come to know and love once reality TV hit its boom. Ariana Davis of Earth and Tony negatively compared Eve to the 90s like sitcoms and determined that it was part of a rollout on campy shows that felt like purposeful programming, more like a cheap attempt at copying successful advertising model. Yeah, I couldn't say it any better myself. And this is like big publishing, big magazines like Los Angeles Times critiquing this series as well. Yeah, and that's what I think it is. I just think the show, honestly, because I just watched a couple of episodes just before doing this review. There's the one where Natalie, this Janine's brother comes in and she tries to hit on Eve as well, and you can hear the laugh track in the background. And of course, it's not like the actual audience laughing. It's just like, uh-huh. It never has. I remember if I go into one on one, I keep telling you like the laughs I get from just the episodes between Flex Alexander and Dwayne in there. So it's like when they were breakdancing in the school. I could watch just that clip 1,000 times, and it just had that energy and vibrance that Eve doesn't have throughout the entire 3 season duration as well. So I can totally get where they felt like it just felt like Eve was, and I love Eve. I think she, from the rappers I mentioned, from Queen Latifah, Missy Elliott, Foxy Brown. If you go to now, of course, like Nicki Minaj as well. Like Eve was one of those pivotal rappers who really laid the groundwork. Where you're seeing like the female rap star still has like leverage and still has legs even to this day. So she has a big legacy as well. But this series is definitely not one of them. Sure, as well. So they also got to say is during her review of the pilot episode, Melanie McFarlane wrote that the sitcom lacked any potential to ease performance, poor performance on top of the terrible scenery, cheap costumes, and a few glaring miscasts. Well, that's what I thought with that Sean McGuire's one. His decision to distance the series from identity as a rebel was questioned by Roger Catlin of the Hartford Courant, who felt that the character Shady could have used the personality charge from Eve's life. Yeah, yeah, that's so true. It never feels like when you watch The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, you can see Will Smith and Fresh Prince of Bel Air are the same. It's just you're turning the volume up, and you get Will Smith's personality. When you see Eve in this series, it never feels like Eve that you see in the music videos of Gwen Stefani, her role in Barbershop. Even when she was on 1-1, like she never had that rebellious, like kind of like a rude but fine attitude. Even when she was on Punk'd, when she was on Punk'd and that guy like kicked the trash and he started getting rude to her, that is the Eve you wanted to see, that rebellious, I don't give a fuck kind of attitude. I think he needed that. But she just, as I said, she was always there, like with the friends, and it was just very formulaic in the episodes. And I feel as well with this series, once you see one episode, you pretty much see all the episodes because again, there's no really like dramatic episodes. There's no really messages that are put through here. There's not really like some wow moment like you can say, okay, this series sucked, but just this one moment made it really good. There was none of that. So yeah, so I can't really. This is one of those times I can't really talk about any memorable episodes, honestly, because like it is really few and far between. Probably the one I just watched, which Reginald Ben Johnson. He's the pastor in the church. Maybe that's a good one. As I said, there's along multiple guest stars from Queen Latifah to Bobby K. Fox. But to be honest, it's like a lot of stuff don't mean anything. Honestly, when I talk about, like as I said, the guest stars that appeared on the sitcoms around the same time, it meant something. As much as I don't think All of Us is a great show, I remember when Will Smith appeared in the two-part episode. It meant something. it was like a big deal. But this doesn't have any kind of greatness ever attached to it, and I feel like it was never meant to, honestly. So to sum it up, honestly, this series, the only reason I even went to review this because I distinctly remember watching this the same time as watching those other sitcoms, as I mentioned. And again, it is a big part of my nostalgia. And I in some ways, actually watch this series more than Bernie Mac show because if you check my reviews on these sitcoms, that I've talked many about like some of these sitcoms in the States, they weren't showing them on regular television and YouTube and watching these. We're trying to watch this like online at this time. It was at its infancy. Yeah, so we could maybe watch clips, so we couldn't watch a full episodes as well. So a lot of these sitcoms, when I was in Europe, I could not watch till I got into my 20s as well. But I remember seeing this series on the Trouble lineup as well, and I still probably feel the same way as I felt about the show now. I mean, it's like a time waster at its best. Like if you've got nothing to do, maybe if you're waiting your friends to come visit you, you can maybe just watch an episode at best. But it's not like it's not great. Mediocre, I think is the best way. So I to honestly be light with this, I would give this series like 2.5 out of 5. I think the positives are really like it is nice seeing Eve, honestly, because what I will say, like even though she's not really like a rebellious attitude in this, she's still a fine black woman, even to this day as well. And even though she stepped like pretty much like out the spotlight of making music or being with the entertainment, that kind of like Hollywood lifestyle. Honestly, it's still pretty cool to like a black rapper to get from sitcom or even just a rapper in general to get that, which is amazing. I would say I don't think there's a great chemistry with the cast, but I think the only cool other part is the guy from Obey and Barbershop as well, JT as well. Even just for that small little that kind of reference on the barbershop film and they were brought in here. Like that was cool. It's almost similar to when you see the Wayne's Brothers and Friday film happen, and a lot of the characters appeared in the Friday film was in the Wayne's Brothers film. The security guard John Witherspoon and Paula J. Parker as well. So it had that kind of relation as well. But other than that, I just feel the biggest negatives of this series is I felt trying to get this multicultural type of vibe within the cast didn't really work. If I was probably doing this show, I probably would have lessened the main cast as well. Maybe just it would have been if you wanted to keep Eve and maybe Rita and maybe Janine, maybe just keep it like that. I don't think having like they had the three girls and the three boys kind of battle it out each out in a friendly type of way. But I just feel sometimes for this show because it's not a great enough show to handle this whole cast as well. And as I said, it just feels a lot of episodes just feel meaningless and a waste of time. But yeah, I think if I'm being fair, 2.5 out of 5 would be my final grade for this. That's all I can say. That's all. So yes, folks, and that is my review on Eve. Let me know what you think if you have seen the series. What do you think of Eve as a rapper, like her as a music star? Where does she rank in your top like rappers, not just black rappers, but rapping in general? Put it down in the comment section. As I said, would love to hear your responses of like your favorite sitcoms from the past, present, definitely let me know. As I said, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. And when the planets line once again, I assure you, I'll be making that return again. You see, I have to think about that. All right, folks. Stay safe. Enjoy the summer. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.